Hello world, welcome to the stream. Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be starting our new project. Last stream we were setting up our development environment, trying to get everything ready. We may do a bit of last minute setup today, but we're going to be starting on our project for this new year. And so what we're going to be doing is building a massively multiplayer online game. It's going to be of the Battle Royale genre. And I think it's going to be kind of fantasy based. It'll be like a big wizard battle. It's going to be built from scratch using C, the C programming language, and we're not going to be using any kind of engines, pre-built engines such as Unity or Unreal. We're going to be building our own game engine, and another interesting aspect of this particular project is we're going to be targeting not only desktop, but we're going to use Emscripten to cross-compile to JavaScript and hopefully run in the browser. So that will be interesting. So what I've got right here is kind of my initial main.c. Let me see if I can open up my to-do list here. All right, so I've got the following kind of to-do list, and well, I've actually already built this first one. We can walk through this in a moment, but we can kind of check this one off. We've built a sample client that lets the player move around the screen with the keyboard. Hey, Jez, maybe welcome. So we'll walk through that code in a minute, but basically I built a small sample client that puts a sprite in the middle of the screen, uses WASD to move around, and the main goal of this kind of first task is to get the client to build, both for the desktop as well as for the browser. So we can, and I am still like a relative newbie with Vim, so please bear with me as I fumble around. We're gonna do, nope, that is not what we want. Let's undo that. Okay, there we go. We're in normal mode, and I'm gonna do, well, it's F previous, right? No. There we go. Buffer. Not file. Okay, so this is our initial super simple client. We do use SDL2. That will allow us to target cross-platform. So we'll be able to do a cross-platform graphics, as well as it's supported by Emscripten. So we get support for browser targets as well. So we're going to go with SDL2 for graphics and also for handling user input. So we bring in some of those libraries. We're just setting our screen width and height to 1280 by 720 right now. And then this is kind of like a bare bones setup for getting an SDL2 window onto the screen. You know, our working title is Mage Battle, super creative. We're gonna do, so we create a window. It's a full screen window. Then we're creating our renderer here, and this one's hardware accelerated renderer. Hey, Destroy Computers, how's it going today? Welcome back. And then the first thing that we're doing here is we're loading this image into a texture. And so this whiz.png file is something that I whipped together in about 5 minutes using ASE Sprite or as Sprite. I don't know how you pronounce the name of that program. But it's a really awful rendering of a wizard, and our sprites right now I think are going to be 24 by 24 pixels. My day is going well so far, thanks Destroy Computers. Just started the stream and just kind of walking through this initial real basic client that I've put together. So the next thing that we do with once we get our little sprite loaded, we just go into our game loop. We just loop forever, and all we're handling right now, there's only a couple events that we handle. We look for a quit signal or the user hitting the escape key, which will also signal a quit. And then other than that, we just look for the W, A, S, or D keys being pressed, because that's what we're going to use for movement. And if one of those keys was pressed, then we do the appropriate thing. We move we kind of move this sprite rectangle by the appropriate amount. Right now I just say move it by 10 pixels at a go. And then we clear the screen, we render our sprite to our new location, which is this rectangle right here, rectangle R, and then we present that. And then we basically clean up. So it's super basic, and the whole program is like 70 lines of code or something. And so the point of that was to get ourselves building. So if we do, let's show you my make file real quick. So this makefile, I was tinkering with it yesterday, and it got a little bit more complicated because this is going to be a client-server program. We're going to have, so we're basically going to have 2 or 3 different targets, because we're going to have our client, both for desktop and for browser, and then we're going to have our server. So right now I've only done. You'll see some server stuff in here, but we haven't done any code on the server side. We're probably going to start that today. We just have our client right now, so I'm just calling it Mage BR, Mage Battle Royale. That's going to be our executable, and it's going to build from the client directory. I should show you kind of what. Let's see. Is it? I forget which command I tied this to. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here's my tree structure over here on the left. You'll see we've got, this is our Mage Battle Royale folder, and underneath it we've got assets. Going to use Inscription to compile for browser? Yes, I am. So we're gonna work on that a little bit today, and then I think we're gonna probably start a little bit on the network coding. Start the rudimentary networking coding to get our client talking to our server, or at least connecting. So we've got the Mage Battle Royale main folder, which has things like our makefile, and then this is where the executables are put. We've got an assets folder that has things like, right now it has our the test that I was using, an old test file, and then my current sprite whiz.png. Build folder we can ignore, it's completely empty and it's probably going to go away. And then in our source folder, we've got client and server. And right now our client just has the main.c and our server has nothing in it right now. But that's currently our directory structure. So we can see in our make file, we've got, we should probably fix this up here because I added a couple spaces inadvertently. So our source files are all going to be under that source client folder. So we're going to build all the C files we find there. And then we're going to turn those into object files. Everything that has a .c is going to become an object file with a .o extension. And then we're going to be pulling in our local includes folder, which is where we have things like our SDL2. And we've got a couple C flags that we send in to the compiler. Most notably the -G in this case for outputting debug information. We're turned off optimization for the moment. And then we have some linker flags here. So we need to tell the linker that we're pulling in the SDL2 library as well as the SDL2 image library. So it can find those things. And then so the next kind of target here we have is our client target. We're just going to invoke the compiler. Oh, I'm sorry. This O and C target that will handle all of our C files, do the compiling, and turn them into .os. So we're just sending our C flags and our includes. And then finally, once we have all of our object files that we need for client object, we're going to build our client target. So we call it the linker here, and we send in our linker flags. Server, like I said, I haven't even tested the server stuff. I just kind of guessed what it would be based on my client settings. And so what I'm working on now is this emscripten bit. So we've got this make emcc command. And just this morning, I got it working. There were some problems. I'm building on Mac OS right now, and I was using Mac OS Sierra, which shipped with a really old version of Python and a really old version of SSL libraries for Python. So when I first built the emscripten stuff, it was throwing errors because it wasn't connecting with TLS 1.2. It was trying to connect TLS 1.0, which it's an antiquated, I guess it's been declared a not secure form of transport. So long story short, I had to upgrade to High Sierra, macOS High Sierra this morning, and that got me to a version of Python that was a system version of Python that was reasonable and could talk a secure version of SSL. So I was able to finally invoke this command and get it to build, which I'll show you in a minute. Then we have our kind of our standard targets. All, if we want to make all, we've got make clean to kind of clean up all the object files. And then I have some kind of convenience targets here, run client and run server, where it will do a clean, it'll do a complete build, and then it will invoke either the client or the server. So I can show you. Let's start with the desktop client, and we can kind of just kind of clear things here. Get it? So I'm already in my MMO Battle Royale. You make clean, make sure we got everything, and I can type. Okay, so I'm going to do make, well, I can do make our client, which is just mage br. So we built, we only had the one C file, it's just main.c on the client so far. And so what we get is, there it is, our mage br right here. And so we can run that. And we've got our super dainty wizard there. Again, the sprite size that I picked for this was 24 by 24. We may end up making that bigger because this guy's really not that big. But you can see I can hit the WASD keys and move the dude around. So that's pretty much all we wanted. I can hit escape and we're out. So the next thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to make EMCC. So this would compile it for Emscripten. And I'm not 100% sure on all. It seemed to compile fine, and you can see that we've got our magebr.html, and then it puts this magebr.data, and then our JS file, which I guess is I actually like to see what that looks like. So we've got magebr, our JS. Doesn't like that. Let's try and do this. We've got our HTML and then our JS, which is probably going to be like a super, yeah, look at this. I mean, this is pretty much unreadable. Basically, because it, there should be is there a WebAssembly file? Maybe that's that magebr.data. Anyway, not really readable JavaScript. But that's okay, because we don't need to read it, we just need it to run. So what we can do, let's see. I can try and get this thing to run in the browser. So there's I'm using Firefox because Chrome and Safari right now do not support cross-site like X HTTP requests for the local machine. And what we want to do, oh, here it is. I actually had it saved. And so what Emscripten does is it kind of builds a virtual file system that the browser can then load and run from its sandboxed JavaScript environment. However, it uses XHTTP requests to load these files. And in this case, for this simple client, it's only loading one file. It's going to try and load the image file for the wizard sprite. But Chrome and Safari do not support that. So we're going to test with Firefox. So if you absolutely had to use Chrome or Safari to test, you would basically have to set up a web server on your local machine and then serve those asset files from your web server. But that sounds like really kind of a pain in the butt. So we're going to try this. All right, now I tried a test run before, and it's not working entirely. So we've got this running thing, and then after a while it kind of times out and it warns me that a web page is slowing down my browser. So it seems like it's just looping infinitely and not actually doing anything. Now if I say stop it, it then draws, there's my little wizard dude. However, it's not responding to any sort of keyboard input, most likely because I've stopped the JavaScript. So there's something going on, and I'm not super, like I said, I'm learning this script and stuff myself right now. So I guess we can kind of see. Kind of want an SDL. Let's see, I was looking at this real quick. So I'm doing this embed file assets, and then, oh no, I'm not, sorry, I'm not doing the embed file assets, I'm doing preload file assets. So there's two different ways you can include assets in your Emscripten programs. You can embed them, which maybe we'll have to try it that way and see if we can get our program at least working by embedding the assets. The problem with that is it makes your initial launch time a lot longer because your assets are actually encoded into the JavaScript, and so it's just going to take the browser that much longer to parse it and get your game up and running before you can go. Doing the preload allows your game to load as quickly as possible, and then only load the assets when necessary. So we're gonna load that. Copies to render. All right, I'm gonna skip to the next step, I think, because we want this to move. So I just want to see if there's some problem with my infinite loop. They've got an infinite loop. They just render copy. Yeah, this is the problem. I'm not giving back control to the process schedule, so I need to probably sleep at the end. Act like an infinite loop while it's playing nice and sharing, giving control back to the browser. Oh, look at this. Emscripten set main loop arg. Func is a function pointer to a function taking a void pointer as an argument. So it looks like we've got our main, and then we just set this. So we've got our looping functions separately. What happens in that? Oh. Not sure what kind of context we need. Oh, that's something that they're passing. Okay, well, let's give this a go. So what we want to do, what we're going to want to do is break our infinite loop out. So actually, so width and height, our rectangle R. Just trying to figure out what we want to pass into our loop. All right, well, we definitely want this. Here's our loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy all of that, and we will create a so it needs to be a void, and it takes a pointer. Does it have to? Yeah, a function pointer to a function taking a void pointer as an argument. Okay, so we'll do void main loop. do, we can just pass it context, that's fine, whatever. I don't think we're gonna pass it anything in our case. Oh, and then, so we're gonna paste all that stuff in here. So here's our loop. Yeah, thanks, it's unused. Get a little premature warning stuff. All right, so we'll move our, there's a lot of stuff we need to pass in. Pull the STL system on each loop iteration to check if the user's pressed any buttons and react appropriately. Depending on what button was pressed, the destination rectangle, the outline that's render is moved. Hey Japan, how's it going? Maru Chandayo, welcome to the stream. Okay, after 100 iterations, stop looping, so you can cancel from within. Copy this. So essentially what we're going to do here is where we're quitting is where we're going to want to exit the main loop. So we'll do a put. We're probably still going to want to... So this isn't going to be... Alright, we don't need this while anymore, it looks like. Working on a school project in C++ with SDL2. Oh, cool. Making a board game, decided to use SDL.net. I didn't even realize that SDL had a networking library. That's good to know. Experience with webs. Thought I'd use WebSockets in it with C, but with C++. Oh, so WebSockets are not WebSockets. Interesting. With C++. Yeah, I don't have any experience with hitting WebSockets in C++. I've done socket programming in C and C++. I haven't done WebSockets though. All right, I'm just gonna clean this up, this indentation, because it's bugging me. There must be a way. Hold on. Let's be smart about this. If I cut this and paste it, that's a little better. That's not bad. Okay. I'm not a big fan of do a bit of formatting. if... All right. Let's try this one more time. I don't know why it's being stupid about the indentation here. Do I use UDP in SDL2? I am going to use UDP in SDL2. And the reason that I'm going to use UDP, well, two reasons. Press select mode, code and visual mode, and press equal to audio indent. Thank you, Lacuna. That is super helpful. Yes, like I said, I'm a Vim noob. So any tips you might have or tricks? Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for that tip. So UDP, I'm going to use UDP sockets because, one, I'm going to be sending a ton of messages for things like positioning, and so with things like positioning, when you're moving so quick, it's not super essential that all of the positioning packets get there. If you drop one, it's like no big deal. And UDP is a lot faster, so we'll be able to send a lot more packets, which is important. And then the second reason is the UDP is asynchronous, and because we're targeting Emscripten, all of our network communications need to be asynchronous. So that is the reason. I like that. That's nice. All right, so it looks like we need to bring in our scriptin.h, I think we're going to need to pull in. I might need to add that to our path. We'll have to see. Because right now it looks like it can't find it. I wonder if I had... I wonder... Hey, Marchandayo, thank you for the follow. It's much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, as you can see, we can learn from each other because I am no expert. I'm learning some of this stuff as I go as well, so we can help each other. All right, so let's do another call here to Emscripten loop. So I'm realizing now that this is gonna break the desktop. So let's get Emscripten working, and then I can figure out how to fix the desktop again. I think we'll probably need to do some conditional compilation, but we'll see. All right, so what don't I have here? I don't have my renderer, and I don't have my rectangle. And I've only got one thing that I can pass in. So I could pass in a structure that has this context. Yeah, I'll probably have to do some conditional compilation. which hopefully I'll be able to keep that stuff to a minimum. And really only stuff like this for the main game loop, and if I can contain a lot of that to the main file and then have the bulk of the game be agnostic as target agnostic, that would be sweet. Alright, let's get rid of that. And so this is where we would put our call to set main loop arg, yes? And simulate infinite loop. It looks like we want to send in a 1 there. So in here we're going to do and our loop function we called here, I think we called it main loop. I can type main loop. We'll figure out what our context structure is, and then simulate infinite loop is going to be, we want to pass in a 1 here. So we'll do we'll just send in a 1. And I'm not sure what that third argument is. I'll have to read up on that. So yeah, because there's more than one value that we need to send into the function here, we're going to need to define a structure to handle that stuff. So we'll do that up here. And we're going to want to pass in our rectangle. So in that case, that is a SDL rect. And what did I do? SDL rect R. And we're also going to want to pass in an SDL renderer, I believe. And we'll call that renderer. So we'll take a pointer, this main loop will take a pointer to that context. And so let's just shorten this because so every place that we have either renderer or R for our rectangle, we'll add a CTX, and it's going to be a pointer. So probably need to, so problem is I need to cast this. So we'll do, Yes, yes, I did. I did mean to use a pointer. What are you complaining about? Alright, so we've got our main loop. STL renderer is, this should probably be a pointer. And then, alright, so where we're using the renderer down here, we need to, again, do CTX. And then, okay. Oh, we need our image as well. Oh, poop. Yeah, W to move through words instead. Yeah, I think I just need to just be in Vim all the time to kind of make it, automatic. Try and use the movement keys. All right, so let's see. It's STL texture is what I want for the so STL texture, and this is again going to be a pointer, and I'm going to call this one image. All right. So this is going to be CTX image. And then we have our R as well. So this will be CTX R. Okay. So we're doing all of our SDL setup here. We create the stuff for our context. We create our SDL rect. We load our image, and then end of current E, yeah, B previous, yep. Just gotta keep doing it. It'll become more comfortable, I think. All right, so now we're gonna set our main loop. We set it to loop infinitely. All right, so the last bit is we just need to figure out how to get the script and header file visible. So let's write this and just see where we are in terms of building this. All right, so it's, oh, yeah, that would help if I declared my my context as well. Derp. Yeah, once we set up all this stuff for our context, we actually need to put it in our context structure before we try and pass it along to our main loop. So we're going to do struct context. We'll call it CTX. And we can just do CTX image equals our image. Let's do this shorthand. I always like this. Image equals image. We can do dot. What do we have? Dot rec. Dot r equals r. And what is the last bit? The renderer? Yes. Okay, and then we'll pass that context in. So let's write this. And we will, yeah, I think I might have to do the angle. I probably am going to want to do the angle brackets. Let's just see what we get. Make, let's see if it complains about not finding mscripten. Ah, okay, I guess it found it. Because I had actually, with the mscripten, there's a command that you invoke to activate the mscripten SDK, and it manipulates a bunch of paths and stuff. So it may have just made that in a place where the project could see that. Although, yeah, it's not in the project directory, so it may be in like user local include or something though. All right, so I guess we can try and load this bad boy up. Reload. Oh! Oh, that is friggin' sweet. Look at that. It flipped into full screen automatically because we were doing SDL in full screen. And we've got our dippy little mage running around now, responding to all of our key presses. Sweet. And escape will quit? Yes, it does. That's excellent. All right. So that's very exciting. Okay. Let's, just because I don't like these red squiggly lines in my code, let's try swapping this stuff out for angle brackets and see if it. I'm still not gonna be thrilled with that. Tried Vim, couldn't install any plugin manager. So the plugin manager that I use, what is the name of it? Give me 1 sec. I'll check that out. I wanted to just test this one thing. So we got write this, and then if I try and do make, so it's gonna build either way with the angle or with the quotes, but my linter it's not super happy with it. Hello, Perpspit. How's it going? An error every time? What kind of what OS are you on? Because if I pull up mine, crap, I can't remember how to do this. Maybe I can just do this. If we'll just, I don't know. Windows 8. Yeah, that may be part of the problem. I mean, I think I've definitely seen plenty of install tutorials and stuff for putting Vim on Windows. Yeah, it's not even the, I was gonna say, it's Windows 10 that has like the Unix command line environment that you can do, the Unix shell or the Linux shell. But Windows 8, I'm not sure. Not sure about that. All right, so this works beautifully on Emscripten, targeting the browser now, but now if I try and do make MageBR, it's going to be upset. Remember, this is my desktop client, so interesting. Now I'm getting the Emscripten error. That's super weird. I wonder if I completely remove this, if it would just be, it just wouldn't even complain about that. Nope, that one. That's crazy. Must be something about the Emscripten environment that it automatically pulls in header files from somewhere. However, if you build it for desktop, it's gonna just crap out. Yeah. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to get this building for both from the same source code. I don't know that I really want to put too much time into this super simple basic client though. I guess we can pass the context regardless. And it's really like whether we want to So what we want is something like this. Target, browser. We want this, else, and then we want an endif here. So in the else case, where we're just targeting the desktop, we want to invoke our main loop, so it'd be something like this. And we'd want to pass it the context. So we pass it the address of our context. But additionally, okay, let's fix this up a little bit. So what we'd also want here is they define Emscripten for EMCC. Oh, so that's super convenient. right, so I still want should quit equals false. We'll preset it to false. So we'll do doesn't like boolean because I haven't pulled in that file yet. So if I say mscripten, sweet, that's super convenient. I've been real impressed with mscripten so far, just kind of how complete everything's been. All right, so we've got if we're running an mscripten, we're going to set our main loop. Otherwise, I'm going to do this is where we'll have our while loop. While do this, and then we'll do this. We're just going to loop. And every time we loop, we're going to call our main loop routine. And up here, that's where we're going to handle our events, our key presses, and do our render. All right, so the other place that we need our conditional stuff is here. So we'll do that. And here we just need an end if, because what we can do, shoot. I have to make quit part of my context. I'll have to make part of that. Where are we? Where is that? We'll do insert because we would like to use our Boolean functions here, or our Boolean types, which we're going to need to add apparently here. So we'll do bool should quit. And we're going to need to add that, unfortunately, to our context. So this can actually be, we don't need this. This can become while CTX. It's not a pointer here, so okay. So while our we also need to set that up here. All right, so we set should quit to false. We're going to then pass that into our main loop, and when we want to quit, we're going to up here outside of the mscript conditional compilation, we'll do ctx should quit equal to true, and then we can return. Yes, I think. We want to do the same here, so we'll do we want to do this here. We'll do. God, I wish I could type today. If def, indef, if def, scripted. We want to keep that, and then we want to do endif, and then if the in any case we want to do should quit is true, and then return. So oh, that's super helpful. Thanks, Destroy Computers. Yeah, the indentation is gonna kill me. So I think that's everything. Let's see if we can build. Well, it's still gonna complain about that mscripted file. So we need to maybe change that too. To wrap that. Yes. Let's do this. And let's just indent that. I think. It's separated so that it's not clumped together with everything else. It doesn't get lost in there in the hash marks. Okay. So now we should be able to make HBR. All right, so it built, and we should be able to run it. And we've got our little dude, and he's still responding to key presses. Pay no attention to the mouse pointer, we probably should hide that. And then escape will quit. Brilliant, okay. And then we can do make emcc. Which builds. And then if we run it in our browser, we'll reload. Running in full screen, and our little yellow mage is running around the screen. Sweet. All right. So our client now targets both with the same code. Cool. All right, so let's see. Do I want to start something? Yes, huzzah! Um, let's see. Do I want to start on the next thing, or do I want to? Let's. Um, let's check my to-do list. Did I not save my to-do list? Apparently I did not, so oh well. Alright, so build sample client that lets player move around the screen with the keyboard. Check. Get client to build for the desktop target. Again, we're going to give that a big checkaroo. Get the client to build for Emscripten and browser target, which is didn't have working, but now we do. Excellent. So the next step on my list, let's save it this time. The next step on my list is to build a basic server that accepts connections and processes a simple packet. And so there's two sides of this one. We need to build the server that will listen for connections and accept them. And we need to build networking into the client side that will try and connect to the server and send, once we've established that connection, the client needs to send a super simple test packet that we'll define and that we can test for on the server and like print to the console when we receive it or something like that. Oh, and while I have any Vim experts on the stream, you'll see I have some Vim stuff down here as well. I need to find a good debugger plugin and set it up. So like if I wanted to be able to step through the code right in Vim, I have not yet found one that that works. I think I forget which one I tried. I was just getting, it was thrown, oh, it crashed Vim or something like right off the bat. And it was due to, I think it was due to a problem in MacVim. Like it would, when it was trying to attach to a process or something, it would just crash, just seg fault. And then figure out if there's a plugin or just a nice way to just trigger the builds right inside Vim. Open up, I guess, a little terminal window or something. So if anybody out there, any of those Vim experts out there, has a solution for those, that would be sweet. Please share. What is this scratch? I gotta get rid of this. Okay. Preview. What the hell is preview mode? You can do make in Vim, but I've never used any debuggers in Vim, huh? Do some key mapping for the builds, yeah. I'll have to play with that a little bit more. That's the one thing that that I really liked about Visual Code is that it had the debugger integrated right in, and you could just like set a breakpoint in the code and just run to that breakpoint and then examine all of the stuff. VS Code was really really cool with that. complaining about. Standard IO not found, or seriously? So I think I need to update my my plugin to include some of those other directories. All right, so yeah, I like VS Code. It's nice. I think, do I want to do source server? Let's see, is that okay? Why is it saying preview mode? I don't know how I got from normal mode to preview mode. All right, so I am going to, I guess we can start doing this a bit. We can at least get a rudimentary server program, just compiling, and see where to go from there. So what I'm gonna do, let's see. So let's see what we've got. I'm gonna pull in some of our, well, let's see, do I want to do, there's one other thing I wanted to do before I got too far into the weeds with this. Let's do, get back in my make file. And I wanted to add some stuff to the clean, because now that I'm doing EMCC, all the unscripted stuff, they add a bunch more crap that needs to be cleaned up. So what I'd like to do is add something here. And what we need to clear, let's make this one up. 2 terminals here. So we've got some extra stuff here. We've got this MageBR data, MageBR HTML, HTML.mem, and .js. So it actually looks safe if I just delete MageBR star from this folder. I can do that without too much issue. Yes, perfect. And this SDL test.dsim, I think that's, I think that was an old program that I. Now it's going to complain if that file doesn't exist. Okay. So this should load me up with everything. Yes. Oh, it's still there. SDL test.dsim. What the heck? So that must be the debugging symbols that. Alright, so I guess maybe we should add them. Add that to my cleanup. SDL test.dsim. I wonder what's writing that. Make image. Okay, so it's the desktop that's writing that. Let's see, how do I make that not complain? That's what I want to suppress. It's looks maybe just like F. Yep, that's fine. Now it's not gonna. So now if I do make all, that will only build the. Oh, look! It built my server. Haha. With my. Oh, it is removed in that first line, isn't it? Oops, you're right. Well, the MageBR star is for all of the other stuff, the Emscripten files, because those all start with MageBR, and it's like MageBR.html, .js, the .data. So what I also want to do is add to all. I should add the EMCC to it. Alright, dialed in. Excellent. Makefile is dialed in now. One other thing. Yeah, I want to see if I can add a way to trigger Firefox from the command line. That would be sweet. Yeah, it looks like there is, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. So, we don't need our makefile anymore. And we built our server with that last make. You can see it got picked up. So we can run our mahbr.server and it will do absolutely nothing but return success. But it builds, so yay. Alright, so the first thing we're really going to want to do is we're going to want to build some rudimentary networking stuff. Source server. Did I not write this? Okay. So this will be where we have our networking stuff. So what do we want? Nightbot is really out of date. Oh my goodness, yes it is. Look at that last one. Hey Nathan, welcome to the stream. I will have to update that December one. Jess, maybe. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. Do appreciate the sub with Twitch Prime. Okay, so for the header file for our networking component on the server, we're just going to want to define some functions here. So I'm not 100% sure what we're going to want yet, so let's just make up a couple. We're going to want, from the server side, we're going to want net listen. Maybe we'll do net initialize. I'm not 100% sure what we're going to want here. And then maybe that'll return some kind of structure, like a networking context. And then we'll just do net. I guess listen. And that'll probably take a context as our. We'll probably end up passing some stuff. This interface is definitely going to change. Just trying to throw stuff at a wall right now. Oops. did I want to do? I want to do, what is that command? It's going to be this. Ah! What the crap is that? That was awesome. I need to look at my plugins again. Yeah, whoa is right. I don't even know what that was. I want to do a maybe? Nope, not that. Let's try this again. We'll do Vim. Hold on, I'm gonna look at my I've got splits. So I am using Vimplug as my plugin manager. I forget who had asked earlier on stream, but I use Vimplug. And so this is the list of my current plugins that I've got. With a.vim, then there's just control p vim, some colors. I've got nerd tree. ALE is what does the kind of real-time syntax, real-time error reporting. It tells me when I've messed up my C. And then I use airline and airline themes, which gives me this, these pretty bars at the top and the bottom. You complete me does the autocomplete. And then, this Vim LLDB is what I tried to get to work, but it wasn't having it. Yeah, it just wasn't having it at all. And if you're interested in my Vim RC, I do have it on my GitHub. So if you go to github/pdcodes, you can see I've got my Vim RC there, as well as the source code for this this project and the last project that I did, which was building a roguelike in C. So you can download all of that source code and play with it, learn from it, make it better, all that good stuff. What am I looking for? Split. Right. I think maybe that's it. Is that what I was looking for? Split B? No? B split maybe? Ding. There it is, B split. Control WV. Control WS. Yeah, I'm really only interested in the vertical splits here like this. Yeah, V split or Control W. Nice. Oh, so what I want to do here is do source server networking.c. And we will so we'll grab these guys, put them over here. I'll add one here. Got a hard stop at 3:30, everyone. So I'm gonna have to call it in a few minutes. But maybe we can just get a couple of these going. I use SDLNet for cross-platform networking. To be honest, I didn't realize that there was an SDLNet. I think I'm gonna try and just I'm not sure. I think I want to try rolling my own first, but I'm building on Mac OS, so it'll work most likely for Unix flavors, but I'm not sure how well it will port over to Windows, so we'll have to throw it on there and see what's what. But I'm also gonna, I'll do this off stream. I'll check out SDLNet and see if that will alleviate a lot of alleviate some messy issues. Kind of like to try my hand at rolling this stuff myself, just to, you know, to learn really what's going on. All right, so we've got networking.h, and we're going to want to pull in let's pull in, so I'm going to, let me bring this up here. If you have not seen this resource and you are interested in networking programming, I'm gonna, Bij's Guide to Network Programming is pretty awesome. So it's beej.us, and then it's /guide/bgnet. So it's Bij's Guide to Network Programming. Talks all about internet sockets. It's kind of written in a more conversational, easy to digest, or as easy to digest as it gets, because it's, you know, some of this stuff is pretty complicated. But hey, Slayer Darth, how's it going? Welcome. I recommend, if you're interested in network programming and kind of starting out, this is a good place to start. And I'm going to use some of this as reference as I build out my sockets implementation. So, highly recommend that you check that out. It's freely available on the web. Yeah, you were recommended the guy in IRC the other day. Awesome. Yeah, I second that recommendation. Okay, so the files that we want to bring in, keep doing that, gosh. There's a bunch of system files that we want to include. So we of course want the standard IO. And then we're gonna want to include our sys, it's gonna be sys types. And include our sys socket. Because as I mentioned earlier on the stream, we're going to be doing UDP sockets for our for passing. Tried the Unix networking manual, but none of the code examples are portable. They were written for BSD. Yeah, so the Pish's guide, he talks about sockets on Windows and Unix, and tries to. He freely admits that he's not a fan of Windows himself, but he recognizes that you know that there's tons of people out there on Windows. So he tries to explain the differences when they occur. And then we've got ARPA, INET, and the and the other nice thing about the guide, I read it a few years back, and it was like, honestly, it was a lot more complicated. Since then, I think in 2016, he updated it to include IP version 6. So a lot of the system calls actually got simpler. Even though you have to now deal with IPv4 and v6, a lot of the system calls actually got simpler. Doesn't like net inet, huh? Oh, because I got the wrong header file. iOS right now, I am working on macOS right now, but I also cross-compile to. I have a Windows 10 machine as well that I use for testing Windows compatibility, but primarily I use macOS. All right, so we've got that. So what types of things do we want to do on our initialize here? So mainly what we want to do is we want to set up our network connection here. We run Ubuntu and Arch Linux at home, Mac OS and Windows 10 at work. Yeah, so I run at home. I said, Mac OS and Windows. At work, it's Mac OS and Fedora Linux. So maybe today, I'm gonna have to call. I have to stop in about 15 minutes. So maybe today we just write some pseudocode and figure out what it is that we want to do here. So let's do. We'd like to do things like get our IP and networking environment, and let's see, set up our working. And so we want to do things like set. Well, I guess we're probably going to be agnostic IP v4 or v6. You're thinking what to write for your first C application. If it's going to be your very first, I would suggest that you pick something on the small side, but yet, that will maintain your interest. And then once you've completed something small, gotten a little bit more confidence, gotten a little bit more comfortable with the language, pick something bigger, and then, and so on and so forth. Just go from there. A command line color picker, that seems good. How would what would the UX for that be? Command line, draw like ASCII characters in different colors, or Okay, so we want to set up our, we want to get our IP address and set up our networking environment. Like we're going to get our address info. What else? I think we're going to want to basically put all that stuff into like a networking context. Just type in a color keyword. Oh, and then it would just show that. That's cool. And down here, just to get this to compile, we'll do return. Okay, and then let's source client server. Let's bring this into our main C. So we'll do of course, none of this does anything interesting yet, but we'll just make it so it builds. Mage BR server. Okay, so it builds and does pretty much nothing but return. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pretty much call it for today. Start putting together these, next steps are start putting together these networking, setup functions, get the server listening to establish, open up a socket locally, start listening for connections on that socket. And then kind of once we've got that server bit set up, we will switch over to the client side and get it to open up a socket on its side, connect to the server, and then start sending packets to that. Royal.js, welcome to the stream and thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, so like I said, I've got a hard stop at 3:30. It doesn't make sense to really get anything meaty going. So I think I am going to call it. I can see, let me see who else might be streaming. We can do a raid. I always forget to do this, but it's kind of fun. So let me see if there are any other game devers who might be streaming that we would want to raid, doing something interesting. Let's see. We can go raid Royal.js, that new JS library. Nice. Oh, thanks for joining me, Destroy Computers. I appreciate it. Thanks for the tips about indenting and all that. That's super helpful. let's see. Let's see who we want to. Let's see who we want to raid. So over to the side here are my links. You can see archives from my previous streams up on YouTube, where I built a roguelike from scratch in C, classic ASCII roguelike. If that is, if you find that interesting, I'm available on Twitter at PDCodes, and all of my source code from these projects is up on GitHub, GitHub/PDCodes, and also up on GitHub is my Vim config file if you're interested in seeing what my current setup is at the moment. So we've got, what do we got here? We can try and do... there's not too many game dev streamers on right now. There's I guess we can go. Is it Jessica Mack? She's doing, says she's optimizing an iOS build. Oh, Jess, maybe. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it, and thanks for joining me today. All right, I guess we can send it over to Jessica Mack. She's doing, I think she's actually doing C++ targeting iOS, if that is interesting for anyone. We can do raid, I think it's raid. We can try this, see what's up. Yeah, have a, take care everyone. All right, we did it. Excellent. All right, thank you everyone for joining me, and I hope to catch you next time on the stream. Let's see, countdown to raiders. Yes, we got 7 raiders. All right, I was about to switch. All right, thanks for raiding everyone, and I will catch you next time. Take care.